May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Ms. Hyde, you would say, working at the Black Bear, that every single thing that happens, operations-wise, goes through you.
Yes.
So you'd say you're involved in all of the meetings that Mr. Bancroft is involved with?
Yes, I schedule meetings.
You're involved in every facet of decision-making on an administrative level.
Well, not every. I'm just his assistant. I just schedule them.
So let's talk specifically about your role in this case. Now, you met with Officer Mickey Keenan on March 2nd, 2015. Isn't that true?
On March, yes.
So on March 2nd, when you met with Officer Keenan, you learned that Officer Keenan was not just a staffer for Ms. Covington. Isn't that true?
Yes, I did.
And that Mickey Keenan had a plan to catch Ms. Covington accepting a bribe.
Yes.
And you were involved in that plan, weren't you?
Yeah.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
May I respond?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, this is very relevant as it shows Ms. Hyde's involvement in this case. Now, Mickey Keenan, if I may proffer, Mickey Keenan was involved in the undercover investigation in this case, in whether or not Avery Bancroft offered a bribe to Ms. Covington. Now, whether or not Ms. Hyde was involved in that investigation, and furthermore involved in the meetings set up with Mickey Keenan and Ms. Covington, is very relevant.
Do you have a response?
Your Honor, Mickey Keenan's involvement in the bribe has no bearing on the proof of whether or not a bribe took place.
May I respond once more?
No, I'm kind of confused why the prosecution is making this objection. So I'm going to overrule it for now. I think you're within the realm of relevancy. So you can continue. Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Hyde, just to clarify, you were involved in Mickey Keenan's plan, isn't that true?
Well, yes. He's an officer. I just doing what I was told to do.
And your role was to set up meetings between Ms. Covington and Mr. Bancroft.
Yes.
So let's talk about the first meeting. That first meeting was March 31st, isn't that true?
Yes, the first meeting.
And that was the first meeting that involved anything to do with this casino license.
Yes.
Ms. Covington was not present for that meeting, was she?
Miss Covington? No. No, just Bancroft, me, and Mickey Keenan.
So let's go to April 13th. On April 13th, you talked about a direct examination. You heard Ms. Covington say a few things that stuck out to you.
Yes, I did.
So, just to clarify, before we go into those specific statements, you know that your testimony today has to be based off of what you've seen and what you've heard. Isn't that true?
Yes.
You can't tell us and go into the mindset of Ms. Covington. So, when you heard Ms. Covington say, "What do you have for me?" you don't know what she meant by that.
I mean, we're sitting at a, we're talking about a casino here, so.
But you do not know exactly what she meant by "what do you have for me."
No,
She didn't say the word bribe.
no, she didn't.
She didn't say, "Do you have money for me?"
No.
So let's talk about the other statement you heard. You heard her say, "I'm going to need 250,000 reasons to vote for your casino." She said that, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
You don't know what that means.
Yes, but
She never said $250,000.
no.
All she said was she needed a lot of reasons to vote for his casino. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So let's talk about April 16th now. On April 16th, you set up a meeting between Ms. Covington, Mr. Bancroft, Mickey Keenan, and yourself. Isn't that true?
Yes, I did.
That meeting was for April 16th, right?
April 16th. Yes.
So on April 16th, before the meeting in Suite 312, you saw your boss in the office.
Yes, I did.
You said on direct examination your boss was putting some money in a briefcase,
Yes, he was.
and then you walked to the meeting.
Yes, and we did that.
Ms. Covington was never at that meeting, was she?
Nope. So Miss Covington didn't check the
So just to clarify this for the jury, your boss took $200,000 and what you thought was $200,000 to a meeting that the defendant was not at.
Yes.
You saw your boss later on that day, didn't you?
Well, yes, he came back later on the day.
Came back after there was since Ms. Covington was not there, your boss left room Suite 312 and you went to the office.
Yes, I did.
About an hour later, you saw your boss again.
Mhm.
Your boss was carrying the same briefcase.
Yes, he was.
You didn't open that briefcase, did you?
No, I didn't. I don't look at personal things.
So for all you know, Ms. Hyde, the money that you saw your boss putting in the briefcase could still have been in there.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hyde. I have nothing further.